Very good evening, friends from Lapland, Finland. Here we are again, and warmly welcome into our SIRIUS festival celebration and the fourth day. We had very powerful moment yesterday when the full moon was just checking us all, how we are working together. So I would like to welcome my dear brother, Alexander, and Alexander will lead us to this the fourth day.
Greetings, friends. So we are in the first day of distribution, and the tension of energies that we've been together focusing, precipitating, and distributing now is quite intense. I want to share about our experience today here in Lapland. 5 of us had a privilege to go to the sacred Mount Sana here, and it's a sacred mountain for Sawami people, or Lapish people, and as we came to the top of the mount, the strong gust of wind welcomed us there. It's probably the strongest wind that I've experienced for a while, and it was very special to be there. And as we were on the top of the mountain, I just saw that's just few meters away from there is a labyrinth, and I said, "Oh my God, what a beautiful labyrinth! Who could do that?" And only later, of course, we figure out that it was Tuija who built that labyrinth herself. And maybe she will tell the story how it happened. She shared that with us at dinner. And yeah, so you can imagine Tuija's carrying stones, rocks, building a labyrinth with Michael, and they're standing together. We sound in the mantra of group unification. I'm one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. And at that moment, we linked with the rest of the group who stayed in the village, and with all the groups who working together at this time, at this sacred time of the Leo Sirius full moon. I'm one with my group brothers, and all that I have is theirs. And we almost were ready to leave, and there I suddenly recognized, with the gust of the wind came a realization that Michael would want us to read the Great Invocation there. And so we did. And later we learned that that was the place where the ashes of Michael been given to the wind. So it was very strong presence of Michael with us. And all these days of this very potent full moon, our brothers and sisters from the other side are with us. And I've been hearing it from several colleagues already, colleagues who've been saying this, that they sense the presence. And so as we link at these days with so many groups around the world, we also link with those who are working with us from the other side. Much love from Finland.
Thank you, Alexander. Just inspired by this thought, yes, I may say a few words about this building, the labyrinth there. But let us just start in that have 1 minute of silence for all of those who passed last year.
Looks like complete loss of internet over there, except for Walter. Walter, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you near them with the internet? They all dropped out.
We're oming.
Yeah, it was my fault. I disconnected by mistake. Router. It's not back again. So it should be come back.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, they lost the connection and we're coming back and we'll be back in just a minute.
Okay, dear friends, we just lost the connection for a while, and we had a little bit longer than 1 minute silence. So we have been trying here to really focus upon real and have been talking deeply about the discipleship life and what it means, what aspects it has, and having little ceremonies, contemplating deeply and reflecting deeply. So we were just coming to one important aspect of the work is about working with the Christ. So actually I'm asking Anne if you would be kind and just direct us into discussion. Do you take this one? Do you want to come to sit with me here?
I can go right.
Yeah. 1 second.
Hello from Finland. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, we were discussing one day a couple days ago after evening where people had reflected that after the first meditation we had, the energies felt very strong and for some different than they'd ever felt before. And it got me thinking too. Recently I have read The Reappearance of the Christ, and the line that jumped out to me was, "When you don't think I'm going to come, I will come." And then of course there are things that have to be in place as preparation, but it really got me thinking, we probably will never feel ready, completely prepared. So what can we do now that really is preparing ourselves? And I remember Tuya, I think one of the first meetings we had here just locally in person, when she was saying hello to us, she said disciples are to make the lighted path for the Christ. And so I think it got us all thinking maybe about what would that really look like if he was to come? Is it, I mean, two things. How do we prepare ourselves? How do we prepare as a group? But what does it really look like if in his coming? Is it going to be within each of us? Is it going to be a being that we see internally and manifest? I mean, the Tibetan says he will walk among us, but what does that mean? So I think that's probably enough food for thought, and people probably have thought about it even more than myself.
Yeah. Okay, don't escape. I'm not letting her go. So what do you think yourself?
I sometimes feel like it's going to be sooner than we think, and I try to see try to make sure that's not wishful thinking on my part, or some component of it is in play and process now. Of course, I don't know this, but it really gives me a sense of urgency of, as I just said, like really thinking about what we would need to do inside each of us or as a group, and just what it would be. I think for me, the notion was so far down the road, it wasn't really something we were privileged enough to think about. It was something in the distance, but what if it isn't so far in the distance? Whether it's this life or another life, but what if?
Right. So this is okay. What happened again? I lost it. Right?
Well, they just
do you
wanted
hear
to
me?
see you.
No, we have not
You
lost.
just lost
The
your
sharing
screen
has
share
been lost.
Maybe your screen's just small.
because people
No, I
wanted
can
to
see it
actually
again.
see you talking.
We are sorry. There's something now.
People wanted to see you talking instead of a screen that
Yes,
just
I
says Siri.
lost the sharing. I lost it, but now you have the sharing. I don't know why
Tuya.
we have these problems now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Tuya? Yeah.
Yes.
Somebody asked because they would. I don't know if you're sharing slides or you're just going to have this one slide. They wanted to just see you two talking, so I stopped it. That's why it got stopped. It got stopped because I stopped it so that they could see you talking to each other.
Okay, right. I'm sorry because yes, we were discussing about this deep issue, and I don't know which mode is the best. But anyway, going back to this, what Anne was giving for us to think about is those things that the whole world is also thinking. You remember how Tibetan says about that there has to be these three things in place, that there has to be a measure of peace. And according to that, what's going on, it's a big question mark. What would indicate for us, I suppose, that there would be a huge danger for him to come now. Because his presence would be affecting all of this lunar life on this planet. And would be that's why giving possibility for Black Lords to work. Then there has to be some measure of sharing, economical sharing. We see a lot of that as well. So that is a fact. Humanity has been evolved, and there are many beautiful initiatives, and young people are thinking about, for instance, that how our distribution, how we produce food, all of that sharing, what should be and how it should be done. And then when the political and religious group has started to clean the house. So we have had lately, when we think about Catholic Church, a huge things going on, a lot of public apologies, not only in Catholic Church. There are those signs, but if only looking those signs, we still see, at least from the aspect of peace, that we need to work more, and as disciples we have to give our aid at the moment to balance these forces which are really contradicting. But how it would be for every one of us. So is there any sharing? It can be also, it does not have to be from here, the sharing. Is there anyone who would like to add something to this?
I'm here. This is Greg. I think what we're doing is just very powerful. And every day I log into this thing, I'm really feeling like there's so much happening. And this is what it's really about, this is the work that we're really trying to do, is find the unifying point, of place of spirit where we can all connect with all the inner groups and outer groups. And my sister Suzanne is here from Ananda, and I sent a link to this group process to Ananda World Brotherhood teachers, which is Yogananda. When he first came over to the US, it was all about exactly what we're trying to do, and that this is really about bringing the whole world together, because we do so much in our mind. We are doing it in that everything begins in the mind. And so any kind of healing, any kind of peace work, any kind of universal global work happens in the mind. And when we can transfer and also be aware of the energies coming from Sirius through solar logos and then through our planetary logos, and really integrate it, this is how we're winning. This is how the good will triumph over the evil, except the evil itself is only just a negative aspect of ourselves. So this is just a huge, beautiful process, and I'm so happy to be involved in part of this.
Thank you, Craig. Yes, wonderful comment, and that is so that we must be uplifted of every single sign where we see the real soul emerging, and the intention and will to love. But yet in the world we have these deep challenges. But this group work that we are now doing is at least that part that we can all participate. But would there be any other comments, any in this room or in the Zoom room? We have really had deep meditations during this powerful full moon. Is there anyone? Just jump in, because it's very important to share.
Hi,
your...
this is
Yeah.
Ellen from Madison, Wisconsin, and it strikes me that Maitreya, the Christ, is waiting for us. We're waiting for him, but the bigger wait is him for us.
Mhm.
And there have been opportunities for him to come forward before, but humanity's not, as you say, humanity's not ready. It's so serious, and so it can be close. That's why we feel, in my opinion, it's why we feel it, because he is near and waiting for us.
Wonderful point. Yes. In Buddhism, it is said that he is in the Tushita heaven, also preparing himself. Of course, that is on the level that we, none of us, we have any idea what does it really mean. But it means, in his case, as well as the whomever great avatar has to prepare oneself to take that task. We can only estimate, but think about yourself. If you would have to go, let's say that there would be 1,000 people and you should step in front of these 1,000 people and just express from your heart, from your soul, a message. But when we think that he is facing the whole planet and all its people, millions of people everywhere, what does it really mean? And these forces which are trying to break through on the physical plane in so many ways and in so many places at the moment. So they must be something, even though the soul is immortal. From that point of view, there is no fear, but there must be something according to the law that and the purpose, if some light will descend. It is said that he is going to now bring forth the new way in human life, the new law of God, and the whole big change. And also it is said that in this time of the great conclave, he will make his final decision of his coming. There has been debate of a lot about his physical coming. Some are saying that he is already here, which is absolutely true. He is here. But now we are talking about that aspect of this descent or appearance or presence, that he actually comes into physical form, which is a very, very huge event here. And all of us are now tested, looked and checked that how we are going to fit into his great work down here. Do you have any comments to add or thoughts?
Julia,
I
can
would
you
say
hear me?
something.
Yes.
Sorry.
If I remember well, the case has the three forms of his coming back. The first is overshadowing the groups. Then this physical coming, but it is supposed when we will have, as you said, the conditions. So it's not the first phase of the return, which doesn't mean that it could be tomorrow or yesterday, but for probably a public recognition, it's not now. And the third way I figure that is another, if I remember well, is an overshadowing of humanity as a whole. And in that respect, I think it's about raising up the public opinion, the capacity to discern of humans that will usher or will produce the right people to govern, the right people to guide us, and so on. So the return of the Christ, which is the soul or group consciousness in us, will produce this evolution of the public opinion, so that we will deserve through wise people to govern also the nations and so on. And also interesting for us is this overshadowing of the groups, of the esoteric groups. So it's all about, we were sharing in these days about this Syrian Leo connection, the major festival of the new world religion. And yeah, and when they will decide also, he will recover the Maya Virupa, that is the real body of the Christ, through which he can appear also to, I think, physical eyes, or at least to the ones that have eyes to see.
Tuya, can you hear me? It's Santana.
Yes, please, Santana.
Well, I think that this telepathic experiment was so powerful and magnetic, of all the light workers getting together. It created a huge sphere of light around the entire planet and it created the soul of the group, sent a huge antakarana up through hierarchy and Shambhala all the way to Sirius, and caused a terrific downflow. And I feel there has been a huge shift at this full moon. I can't put into words exactly how that will manifest, but that is what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you. The thing is that at least one does one's work, one's duty, and this coming together is exactly about what Christ is sending the message, or actually what he left for us when he went. He said that this command I will leave you: love each another as I have loved thee. That was the command. For Moses it was 10-folded, but for us it is this only one: love each of other. And Tibetan says, one of you said about this, that it is Christ and the great ones who are waiting us. It's not only this way that the someone here on the other side of the veil is waiting, but they are waiting. Christ is waiting that we are ready. Tibetan says that those who are preventing his coming, do you remember what he said? It is his own family, the family members of his own who are preventing him. What does it mean? It really means about that, how truly we express the love between each other. We know that in esoteric field, even though this kind of group work is emphasized, but when we go in the depth of a practical life, everyday life, how truly we really emphasize this love between the groups, between the people. Everyone knows how difficult it is. So we are in that sense the group effort, but there are many steps after that what has to be in place that it really reaches those layers, planes, what has to be reached, that it is anchored here. That's why let us all the time sharpen our understanding and having stronger and stronger mirror against ourselves to see what needs to be done, what is still missing, what has to be corrected, because we are not yet manifested on that level that humanity would be safe. It is the disciples who are somewhat defining how things will go. If we have enough vacuum and power in our real standing in will to love, and everyone has to think about what does it mean, will to love, that we have it, there is no power which can break it. And that is absolutely a fact. Is there anyone else who would like to share? And do you want to add something? Okay. And no one else there. Thank you. Thank you very much for all of you who were sharing. And if we don't have anything in this, we continue. Oh, Craig, do you want to still say something?
The only thing I wanted to say to finish it was the concept that we are what we have been waiting for. When we allow the soul essence of humanity to permeate ourselves as individuals and our lower personality nature, then we, in a sense, are the brothers and sisters of the world, allowing the Christ to become present within us. And that's why the reappearance of the Christ meditation is so important, and why the dissipation of glamour is really important too, because we can't fight an enemy if we can't identify it. And then when we come together as a group and do the work for creating, like in the second invocation, at the very last part of it, where it talks about create a something related to the dark, and let that become, it's not necessarily a barrier. I forget what the last words right off the top of my head is, but it's that idea that we have to create that for it to become manifest in the world. And it all happens in the mind. So much that we forget how much is actually happening in our own minds by positive attitude, by optimism, by love, and the love of the will of God, and all that kind of stuff. It's all happening within us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are our brother's keepers too.
Yeah, that's the thing. We are the ones who we have been waiting for, and that's why we have to fulfill that dharma and accept the karma what comes in with that. You were mentioning about the reappearance of the Christ meditation, and I really, really, if there are anyone who is not involved this meditation, we have been doing that some years now. I don't actually even remember, maybe what, 7, 8 years. And what has been for my really truly touching my heart is that one can sense that this group who has come together faithfully and doing that, it has been creating now a real magnetic field. And that's about the meditation. Tibetan says about the reappearance of the Christ meditation that this nucleus can come very powerful. It sounds or can feel very little, but when you actually do it and continue, it can become a powerful tool for the hierarchy. So that's why recommending everybody to be involved these meditations, which are taking on Thursdays, and Michael was putting the link for you. We will leave this subject at the moment, and we will go to some other very, very fascinating thing. I'm now inviting my wonderful, really wonderful brother, Walter, and Walter will take the next step.
Yes. So the energies have been really strong here in Lapland, and it's been due to the full moon, of course, and coming together as a group, but also just the fact that we are here in the far north above the Arctic Circle. And that creates some very interesting astrology. And so we've been looking at Arctic astrology here lately, and there's some fascinating things about that to share. So let's take a look at that.
And you are sharing your screen now, right?
Yes.
Good.
I'm sharing my screen. And so it's easy to miss some of the some of the mystery of Arctic astrology, because at sometimes the astrology looks normal. And here's a chart from here north of the Arctic Circle. And as you can see, it looks like a normal chart where the houses are basically roughly the same size. The midheaven and ascendant are about 9 degrees apart, just like a normal astrology chart. However, during the day, things change. So let's take a look if we move forward over time and see how it changes over the day. And you can see that over the day, the midheaven and ascendant get closer together, and they keep getting closer together, and they get really close together, and then for an instant, they actually conjunct. And here we have a chart where the entire all 10 of the houses are non-existent, and the entire chart is the first house and the seventh house. And so that's something that you have to look at the right time of day in a Arctic astrology chart to get the weird effects. Because you don't always get the weird effects. You only get the weird effects sometime. It's like when a key is opened, then you get the interesting magic effects. And if we continue, then suddenly, boom, the ascendant flips 180 degrees, and now the ascendant and midheaven are 180 degrees apart instead of 0 degrees apart, just like a minute later. And now we've got, at least with the Campana's house system and a few other house systems, an inversion of houses where the first house, the sixth house are above the horizon, and the seventh house through 12th house are below the horizon. And so now things are inverted. And now we can go here and look at this and see how very quickly it moves. And now the entire chart is the sixth house and the 12th house instead of the first house and the seventh house. So those houses near the ascendant and descendant are prominently featured at certain times. And then we flip back, and then with the sixth house and 12th house, it's still those two houses featured, but now they're back in the right hemispheres. So you don't have that in inversion anymore, but you still have these giant houses that cover the entire chart. And then gradually the houses reappear. And then once 24 hours has concluded, you've got what looks like a normal looking chart again. So that's above the Arctic Circle, what happens during the day. And you could say, of course, the question is why does that happen? And that happens because, well, in the Arctic, things are tilted 90 degrees from a normal astrology chart. Like in a normal astrology chart at the equator, the sun rises in the east, goes directly overhead at the zenith point, and then sets in the west. But in the Arctic, it's a bit different. The sun is always near the horizon 24 hours a day, and you also have the strange effects that depending on the time of year, the sun may never rise, and the sun or the sun may be always above the horizon, which gives you the time of the midnight sun. And so it's an effect of the effect of a 2D wheel chart, which measures along the ecliptic. And the ecliptic is basically the sun's path through the zodiac, and the standard 2D wheel charts that we're familiar with are basically a cross section through the celestial sphere. It's like taking a knife and cutting through it, through an orange. And then where you see those orange wedges, those define the houses. And on the equator, it's like cutting through the equator of an orange. And there you have you have 12 equal size wedges roughly, and everything is fine and dandy. But in the Arctic, you're cutting it through the pole of the orange. And in which case, sometimes you're only seeing one of the wedges is being prominently featured, and the other wedges are barely sliced through at all. And that is what creates these effects that we see in a 2D wheel chart. And so that leads us to the multidimensional nature of of Arctic astrology, where to really understand or to really visualize what's going on, you want to see the whole celestial sphere. And that means not having a 2D real chart, but a 3D chart sphere. And here's an example of a 3D chart sphere. And it looks complicated, but if we, or it looks kind of strange. But again, the very first time an astrologer's looked at a 2D real chart, that probably seemed complicated. So let's take a look at what we have here. Basically, if you look at a simplified version of it, there is here, let me get rid of aspects. It's easily understood. This line here is the horizon line. It is the horizon line. And then we've got the prime vertical and the meridian, or these other two lines here. And we can display the 3D house wedges, which is this. And here you can see the houses are here labeled 1 through, oops. Yeah, this laptop is, here we go. Yeah, so see there the 12 houses labeled, and those are shown, and those are the 3D wedges that can show anything on the celestial sphere, and like in what house they lie in. And then we can add back the ecliptic, which is, this is the ecliptic, this line right here. And then that has the 12 signs of the zodiac, which meet at 90 degrees latitude. And so in astrology, you have the midheaven, which is the point where the ecliptic intersects the meridian. And that is, the midheaven doesn't change based on latitude. In other words, the midheaven at the equator is the same as the midheaven near the North Pole. And so then midheaven is quite stable. But the ascendant is where the ecliptic intersects the eastern horizon. And that normally happens to the east near the equator, but near the poles, the ecliptic can be flush with the horizon. And that creates some of the magic effect, is that when it's near the horizon, it can intersect the ecliptic to a point to the south or a point to the north, and it's much more variable. And sometimes you have those when the ecliptic becomes flush, like here we can see this. Here's the ecliptic moving here, and let me see if it can be sped up. And then you can see there's a moment here where the ecliptic is becoming aligned with the horizon right there. And that's when things get strange, because the houses are aligned there. And when you've got that, you can see that the first house and seventh house and the first house and seventh house and the 12th house and 6th house are, the ecliptic is going right through those houses and only those houses. And that creates the effect when you create a 2D real chart, which is basically that ecliptic cross-section. That's why it appears to be, the houses seem to be so large. So there's a lot of technical information and understanding just what's going on astronomically as well as astrologically. And of course, that creates the question of how does that affect things in a meaningful sense. And that just shows that the houses, certain houses or certain energies can be strongly accentuated in the Arctic, and that things can change rapidly in the Arctic. So you can get more energetic shifts and changes, and it can drive you crazy if you're not if you're not careful. And so, yes. Yeah, so all of that is just a brief example of the Arctic astrology that we've been experiencing, we've been looking at as well as experiencing.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please, because I want to ask also. Yeah.
I just have a question about what would it look like, as you said, to have those houses missing? Like, is there an example someone could have of like what might happen psychologically? I mean, like you said, if you're not careful, you'll go crazy. I'm just wondering.
Well, I think it's just due to the intensity, some people react differently. I don't think it makes you crazy, but it does create a lot of focus. Because in a sense, you can say that the houses never entirely disappear. They just get really, really small. And that just means that all of that house is focused in like, 1 degree or a particular point, as opposed to being spread out over 1/12 of the zodiac. And so that gives you some variable influences where either everything is focused down to a point for a house as far as that physical expression represented by a house goes, or you have it that it's spread out across half the zodiac. And those are just some of the Arctic astrology influences that are, well, in a sense, still being researched. And there's a lot of debate about, different house systems or which house system is best. And some people just pick an equal house system based on either the ascendant or the midheaven. But that's kind of is a cop-out, in my opinion, because that just avoids the issue. But to recognize that, at least with quadrant house systems, that it's a fact that the ascendant and midheaven either become conjunct or become 180 degrees apart. And those influences should be recognized and understood and dealt with and recognized. So that creates some of the interesting Arctic astrology influences.
Absolutely. And, as we have been talking already about that, that we have to continue investigating, because being here in the north and well, I have been coming to north something over 50 years, and I have been seeing things happening, and people who are coming from the south. Of course, there are people who have been born here, and their chart would be interesting to look at. But then when we think about that, the Arctic is like, this Arctic Circle is like indicating us that the planetary head center. And so what the head means and how we could be looking this, what we can see in our eyes, that it really happens like this, what it would mean from the planetary perspective and planetary logoic perspective of the manifestation of the plan, or how the God is working. Could we elaborate those very high issues looking the astrology? I'm just thinking about 1st and 7th house, and then 6th and 12th house. Maybe you elaborate to people, if there are people who do not know what these houses are symbolizing. That we could see that is there something about how the mind actually works from the impulse, that when some impulse is sent forth from the mind, from the plane of mind, how it is catching first expression and then it is divided into 12, because it's like 2 and 4 working, right? 2 houses, 1 and 1st and 7th, and then 6th and 12th, so they are 4 houses.
Yeah, I might say that they're not working, that they're just working differently. And this, that they're larger, doesn't necessarily mean that they're more influential. It just means that they have their influence spread over 6 zodiac signs.
Yeah.
It's just like the very small houses aren't diminished, in my opinion. They are just focused to a single particular degree. And so you still have a chart that's just as valid as any other, but it creates some alternate energies with that ascendant descendant axis being emphasized, because the thing about houses 1 and 7 and 12 and 6 is those are the ones on either side of the ascendant and descendant. And of course the ascendant is the the soul's purpose. And so it's creates a, probably like you said, a head center. It can accentuate the ascendant energies, in my opinion. And so you could like go above the Arctic Circle and have some stimulation of your ascendant issues, kind of like with astrocartography, where you can relocate your chart and experience different things. And I think that anybody can go to the north and experience kind of the relocated energies and have the stimulation of ascendant issues.
Right. And this is of some fact what I have noticed about this stimulation. So even our little group certainly have been experiencing about that stimulation, energetic stimulation. It's really fascinating thinking about these facts. Was there some questions on the chat? I was just saying something. Oh, it wasn't a question. It was the water has disappeared. But did you say, Antonella, something?
No.
Uh-huh. Okay.
No, I asked for the value that we don't have the light.
Oh, right. Right. Okay.
Oh, I could turn that on.
So would you like to say something, Catherine?
Oh, we do.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Catherine, do you want to say something?
Well, it's very, let's see if it's gonna work. Yeah, it's an interesting concept, and it's making me think, I'm sure it's coming through, making me think of the fourth ether, the quantum field, as opposed to the more 3D kind of aspects. You know, it's sort of seems to me to lean more towards those kind of, maybe it's easier to access those kind of vibrations up here. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I like the chart sphere instead of just the 2D chart wheel, to look at things and understand how the things are arranged in the Arctic. So you have that extra dimensionality.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you have what it looked like at the full moon in the Arctic? Depiction of that?
Yes.
SIRIUS full moon?
Yes, so the chart for the full moon looked like this, where we had 4 houses displayed. And there was houses 1, 6, 12, and 7 were all equally sized, but the other 8 houses were basically extremely small and concentrated just within a degree or two. So here's the chart for the Leo full moon as we experienced it here.
Yes, maybe Walter, you are telling for all of us ignorant what's happening here. So we find there.
Oh yeah, this is the chart for the full moon because the sun and moon are exactly opposite each other. And that's for at least, well, if not right here, at least a town pretty close to here. And it shows the houses that are equal, yeah, just the houses near the ascendant descendant axis are present and are larger and covering more signs, while the other houses near the midheaven and nadir are quite small.
Mm. So we had here a Pisces ascendant.
Aries ascendant.
Aries.
Aries rising at the time of the full moon.
Okay, and what degree it is?
It's 1 degree Aries.
Aha. The sun is that okay, 1 degree. It is not that when what is the sapien symbol for this? The second, I don't remember. But the first one is that the woman is rising from the sea. What is the sapien symbol? We have to look that for us. Then, well, we will study that. Actually, it is already in the time that we have to start our candle ceremony. And we will have maybe 5 minutes preparation here in the north. And Michael, if you would be so kind and put some image in your end, and I will come then from here. And let us have a few minutes of preparation time here. We just close for a while. If you have completed water. Yes, thank you so much.
Yes.
We continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you can have these ready there. Okay. Then close the mic.
We welcome all of you. Now continue with us with the candle ceremony, which is actually, if there are some people who do not know, we are working now internationally with several groups with kind of experiment, aligning together, preparing ourselves for the next year, for the Great Conclave. We here in the north, in Lapland, over the Arctic, we have been doing this ceremony that we are lighting candle for all of those groups and imagining how all of the groups are around the world working as light bringers, being the needles of light in their post wherever they are, and thus creating in symbolic ways. We have the shape of a hectagon, and the 6 is related us to monad. It's the number of monad. Thinking about that, all of these groups have the higher aspect in the monadic sense, what has to be built here on earth, on very physical existence. So we are ready to start our work. And when we come to the point when we actually start to light the candles, we will then send a live image of that video from our place here. So let us now tune in to the work. the new group of servers is an aspect of the world Antakarana, and it gives students of the Antakarana a sound example of the intent and purpose of the rainbow bridge, which each disciple is endeavoring consciously to build. It is composed of those who have penetrated in consciousness upward to such an extent and height that their ascension has become invocative and it has produced a descent from the hierarchy. In the case of the new group of servers, it is not simply ascending energy which must be considered. There is also a focusing of consciousness and a receptivity which can develop into fixed intention. This can be followed later by a recognition in the physical brain, consciousness, of what has transpired. Let us align to these types of, 4 types of aspects of the new group of servers. The new group of servers is composed of the following groups. 1. Initiates and disciples who are consciously a part of the Great White Lords. We can tune in with them. 2. Aspirants and lesser disciples who are affiliated with the hierarchy, but who do not usually possess that continuity of consciousness which will come later. Aligning with them. 3. Those upon the probationary path who are not yet affiliated with the hierarchy. They are, however, subject to hierarchical impression and are determined to serve their fellow men. And let us align with them. And then 4, an increasing number of people who respond to the idealism and the purpose of the new group of servers and who will rapidly join the group. And let us invoke them. As the members of this group meditate and serve, they will gradually find that they are becoming aware of an inner group, the ashram of the master, and whose ray the individual server is to be found. Align and focus upon the ashram that you are affiliated with. It must be remembered that ashramic meditation is in the nature of a constant and uninterrupted group meditation upon the plan. The united meditation of the disciples is collaborating with that of the Christ and of the Masters. And again, in these special times that we have the full moon time in Leo and this great connection to Syrian energies and forces, let us really try to find the real, living, conscious relationship with the Christ and say, we have gathered in your name, Lord Maitreya, be with us. Welcome his living presence. The meditation of the new group of observers is in conjunction with the hierarchical meditation, and that we have been trying to really be aware during the full moon meditation, and will inevitably impress the sons of men who are seeking and longing for liberation. Let us turn our hearts towards them. And thus the group is creating a great channel or path of light. It is created by cooperative meditation, and along the path, speaking symbolically, the Christ will come. And that we can visualize and imagine that this great group work that we have been emphasizing, and now when we are then lighting the candles, symbolically we see this path of light through which the Christ will come. Members of the new group of observers are gathered from all branches of human enterprise, of which organized religion is only one. Now, when we are invocative to the hierarchy for purposes of impression and can be impressed by any ashram through its disciples in that group, thus the great chain of contact and the great channel for the inflow of spiritual energy reaches from Shambhala to humanity and from SIRIUS via hierarchy, the disciples, and then through humanity to the three subhuman kingdoms. Now we are going to start our ceremony here to light the candles, and thus furthering the work of the new group of observers all around, as we sought to prepare humanity for the reappearance of the Christ. Standing now in the will to good, will to love, we will start to light the candles, and shall we now have the video as well? Let us align all of those groups whose name you are hearing and visualizing how the light is shining through them and the path of light is created. Arcana Workshop Group, Association Pont Arc-en-Ciel Rainbow Bridge School, Asteria, Aquarian Wisdom Retreat Center, Plural Sisterhood, Comunità di Etica Vivente, Danish Group Aire, Esoteric Advent, Esoteric School of the Midwest, Esoteric Meditation Group, Esoteric Tokyo, Morya Federation Esoteric United Nations, the Windhorn Community, Prezze del Disveglio, Clamor and Evolution of Nations monthly meditation group. Group fraternities. Group Huber di Meditatio Creativa. Hamsters. Hechal Jerusalem. Hill Center. Indiana Esoteric Healing Group. Institute Al Gore. Institute for Planetary Synthesis. International Network of Esoteric Healers. International Network of Esoteric Healers, United Kingdom. Istituto di Ricerche Urosvati. Klang Scale Group. Love, Peace, Joy Network. Mansfield Group. Meditation for the Common Good. Meditation Mount. Morya Federation Esoteric Healing Group. Morya Federation of Vietnam. New Group of World Servers Hellas. National Association for Esoteric Healing. Northern Light Society. The Planetary System, Planetary Order Prototype. Prototipo Officina del Pensiero. School of Planetary and Divine Union. Scotland in Service. Southern Light Center, Christ's College of Trans-Himalayan Wisdom. Sundial House. Sydney Goodwill. Synthesis Meditation Group. The Brotherhood of the Academy of Universal Synthesis. The Ashram School of the Four Rays of the Attribute in the Temple of Russia. The Planetary Healing Group. The School for Esoteric Studies. The Society for the Enchantment of Quality of Life. The Soul of Nation. The Tree of Light Community. Tucson Unit of Service. 12's Global Network. United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Meditation. Victoria Goodwill. Wisdom Group. World Service and Meditation. 2025 Initiative Preparing the Way. Coordination Group. The sound of and we will wait for 2 minutes in aligning with the worldwide group and in 20 minutes of silence. Let us align with these 60 groups, and we will start the silence now.